The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
All right, it's episode number 41, and it is 39 days till the man burns as of this recording. Ooh, only 39 days. Doing some more of that last minute prep, running around. You know what? I'm pretty much just going to call it last minute all the way until it actually is last minute. You know, like right now I have almost a month, and I'm certain I will not be ready. Anyway, guys, check out Into the Fire. It's the newest addition to the burnerpodcast.com lineup. Into the Fire is hosted and produced by Super Suze out of the Bay Area. And the first episode is an interview with Silverman, which is really fascinating. And Into the Fire is basically kind of like where Burner Podcast started, where we just did like direct interviews with individuals that were active in the Burner community. So if you were missing what this show used to be, which used to be less topic based and more just one-on-one interviews, check out Into the Fire. Super Suze is doing an amazing job with that. I'm super looking forward to seeing new episodes that she's working on putting together as we speak. Romero, our art director, who's working on building Cabina Exuro, the project that we're taking out to the playa this year, he loved that first episode. He was just raving about it. He got to learn a bunch of stuff about the history of Burning Man and just had nothing but great things to say about it. So check out Into the Fire. There's a link to it over at burnerpodcast.com. We're expanding. Yay. The family's getting bigger. You have a new baby brother, Burner Podcast. Treat him well. You're going to have to defend him from bullies. Today we're profiling Perky Parts. Yay, Perky Parts. If you've seen that viral video of this priest's sermon about his trip to the playa, well, Perky Parts was his camp. I traveled long and far to get this interview from Orange County. It was a super fun interview to record. And I gotta tell you, like, up until now, we'd thought that episode 13 of this show with the miscreants was probably the title holder for biggest train wreck episode, but I think today's episode might actually win that one. It might be stealing that title, because Perky Parts' motto is, we can't pace ourselves. And I fully get sucked into this, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I did not walk away from this scot-free. I think within an hour, we'd gone through a good half of that Jim Beam handle. And we also decided that it would be a brilliant idea to record outside. So there are like dogs barking and planes landing and fucking fire trucks sirening. So you're going to hear a couple of weird edit points throughout this upcoming interview. Don't be alarmed. You're not missing anything. It's just because we're trying to protect your eardrums. But it was such a fun interview to record. The vibe of this crew is exactly why I always find myself gravitating towards them. The energy just feels very warm, and I don't really know how to describe it. You'll hear me reference that at Utopia, the San Diego regional burn, I just always found myself just wandering back towards their camp, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why. But this is probably the reason that the majority of the Burner Podcast crew is camping with Perky Parts this year. This year being 2016, just in case you happen to be listening to this episode from the future. So, as always, I make some half-assed attempt at finding the story arc of the camp, so you will get their story, I promise you. And it is an amazing story. It is the story of this little camp that got it together, that had these passionate people that fought hard to put this thing together, and all of a sudden, overnight, they explode onto the burner community with this video that goes viral of this beautiful, amazing priest, Brian, who delivers a sermon 7 about his trip to Burning Man and talks about this camp. And all of a sudden, everybody knows who this camp is out of nowhere. And then they have this incredible art car that I got the wonderful opportunity to ride around on, that you could see all the way from across Playa. Just green, beautiful, hideous thing. It was incredible. And then within a year, the next thing you know, this little camp that could is building a village with Carl Cox's camp playground. I mean, how it's amazing. It really is an amazing story, and I'm so excited to bring this story to you. The interview that you're about to hear is with Travmo, Felicia, and Matt Goss, and today's episode is entitled Perky Parts. I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with the bugs and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for the give you no name.
That was unintentionally. This is always my sweet.
The other show that I co-host, I think the last 3 episodes we've done in Orange County have also been outside. So for whatever reason, whenever I'm podcasting
funny.
in Orange County, I end up outside.
Who else is in Orange County?
No, this is the other show, Crappy Awesome. That's the hip hop show.
Oh,
So there's also that one that I've been doing for like 5 years.
no shit.
Yeah, no, you guys are pretty much the only game in Orange County.
Yeah, it's nice. Have the entire market.
We're in Costa Mesa right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that in relation to the rest of Orange County for people who are not familiar with Orange County?
I would say it's like more not the beach scene or not like the peninsula type.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't get your Orange County douchebags in Costa Mesa too much. Like it's more of a, I don't know, mellow bar scene, I guess I would say.
'Cause there's like 23 cities in Orange County, right? It's some ridiculous number like that.
It's like Santa Ana.
You're gonna try and list them right now?
No, you don't have to go through all of
but
them.
around here, Santa Ana, it's like Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport, and Huntington is like basically where we're at.
Yeah.
I guess Irvine, but no one goes to Irvine. There's nothing ever going on there.
Are you guys?
Where I work, how dare you?
By the way,
I mean, for work, yes. To go out, no. Or
is Goss pouring Tecate with ice into a coffee mug?
That's a little trick I learned in Vietnam. Put ice in their beer. Keeps it cold.
Well, awesome. Well, Perky Parts, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to have each of you say who you are so that the listeners can associate a voice with a name and then forget in 5 minutes. And I use that joke every single time I have multiple people on the show, by the way.
I'm sure they're laughing too.
They are, absolutely. Start, somebody.
All right, well, I'm Travmo. I go by Travmo. It's my deep playa name.
no, your playa name is end of story.
And we all just we cycle through playa names whenever it's appropriate.
Yeah.
So, like, her big one is the color WW, or the worthless whore. It was given to her by a buddy, or an ex-friend of ours.
An ex-friend of ours.
An ex-burner friend who helped us with the art car. And it just stuck because it's so just...
It's hilarious.
It rings true. She's absolutely the epitome of a worthless whore.
They love me so much, obviously.
Is it because, like, you're terrible at being a whore, or is it...
No, it was kind of like, well, he was saying it as, I don't know, like an attacking way, but it's kind of like just a running joke now. Like,
He yelled it at her, and then she just kind of looked to the side and was like, well, I'm not worthless.
it was just like a joke, you know? It's like, I don't take things personally like that, and now it's like, it's just funny, so.
Well, for the purposes of the show, do we call you Worthless Whore or Felicia?
Everyone, I guess, calls me Faux. Everyone has a different nickname for me. Felicia, they all call me Faux. Trav calls me Faux Dizzle a lot.
Okay.
Everyone has a different nickname. It's like whatever one you pick, like, run with.
Fair enough. And
Matthew Goss, Matt Goss. My play name is Not a Cop. My first year at the Burn, everyone was like, "Hey, like you're looking a lot fresher than the rest of us. We're gonna need to see some ID." Like it was hard to get a drink, hard to get drugs, the whole deal. So that name stuck.
I could see that. If I was casting a movie where I had to like figure out some cops to fill roles, I would absolutely come to you first.
Right.
Right?
See Profiler or something. That's awesome. Are you guys, so who here is originally from Orange County?
Those two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We both grew up in Newport Beach, went to Newport Harbor High School.
Mm.
We didn't know each other until, sorry, my whippet's leaking.
Get that shit under control. It's a professional show.
Actually, he was a senior, I was a freshman, and we both did cross country. So that was my first introduction to him, and he was the biggest dork. And I remember looking at him and going, I can't believe I'm running like cross country with all these losers. And then a couple years after I graduated high school, him and I started hanging out.
What brought you together?
Mutual friend.
Liquor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drinking, drugging.
Well, tell me about what life is like as a teenager in what was it? What was the city?
Newport Beach.
Newport Beach. Like that? Is that the city that was in the movie with Tom Hanks' kid?
The OC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. The movie was called something else. I think it was just called Orange County.
Oh, with Jack Black.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay, so for people who have no frame of reference for Orange County, how accurate is that film or the TV show?
I mean, there's truth to some of it, but it's not like as bougie as people make it out to seem. There is that aspect of it, but there's all sorts.
The complete opposite.
Yeah.
You
too.
know,
I mean,
live in the area just because. I mean, there's just a small sliver that lives on like right next to the coast. That's where all the money is, and then everything a little inland of that is kind of.
Because I want to say, I could totally see you with like wearing one of those sweaters that you cross over each other over your shoulders.
Yeah.
Like you've
Fall
got
into the
that
gap, dog.
Yeah. So you guys had that upbringing. You go to high school together, but you're not really friends there. 2 years after high school, you start finding each other in the same social circles.
Yeah.
We're diving right into it. Life stories.
I had gone away to college and then came back, and then our buddy Andrew kind of.
Yeah.
Ian. Yeah.
We had a handful of same circle of friends, and then we were just the ones that were always up late partying, and then we had our first Burning Man adventure together 4 years ago now. So that's kind of how this all came to be. But growing up in Newport was, obviously it's there's a lot of money running around, but there's ways to have fun for us kids that were a little less fortunate. And Gus and I always just hung with a bunch of kids that had really corrupt daddies, and we call ourselves the No Dad Crew. Because at any given time, we'd look around and be like, do you have a dad? No. Do you have a dad? No. Is your dad an asshole? Yeah. And it'd be just a big group of people that just had daddy issues. And from there, we just kind of had a little collective of friends that like to hang out and talk shit on each other and keep it real.
Definitely a lot of talking shit. That's stuck.
So, you said after college you came back and you guys reconnected then? Where'd you go after college?
San Diego State.
Okay.
Yeah.
You came our way. And that's where we met Dill, right? Andrew Dill, that's who we're friends with in San Diego. Okay. So, where are you during this time period, Trav?
Graduating high school? Barely. I think Fo was still in diapers. At 15 years old. But, Matt and I had been hanging out for a while, and then we met. We had a couple mutual friends from Norco that our other buddy worked with at a restaurant called Roost Chris Steakhouse. I'm sure you're familiar.
Fine dining.
Yeah, very fine. And then through them, we all just started hanging out. It was funny. I listened to the podcast with Shangri-La Alice, and I heard Derek say that they had a crew called Vibe Tribe. And I started.
I heard the same. I was like, "What the hell?"
And I started cracking up because for years and years and years, we called ourselves the GVT or the Good Vibe Tribe. I got a Good Vibe Tribe tattooed under my armpit.
Yeah.
And then that just I mean, if that name always just kind of was beyond me because, we'd go out and we'd be friendly and cordial, and we'd obviously, we're kind of, it's, like extremely social in that aspect, but we're definitely, I would never consider our vibes good in any way, shape, or form. So we'd be going out. More
tribes than the rest of them.
Going out, and I'm just like, I can't wait to ditch this stupid name. Like, it's just so hippie and just not who we are. So, years and years go by, and we're always just like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this?
So you're trying to come up with a name for your group?
Yeah. Okay. Nothing ever stuck, ever.
It was just easy. The GVT, it was easy. Like, I don't know. It's just, and it was for so long. It's like,
so how many people are in this crew that you're describing?
Well, there's been multiple kind of variations of the same name.
Let's say during after Goss comes back from college, you guys start hanging out. When the Good Vibe Tribe starts to come together, how many people were in the group at that time?
I don't know.
What would you say? Like 100?
Yeah.
And then we kind of narrowed it down because it's impossible to have a group of that many people together that are all, I just call them the A-teamers or like the All-Stars.
Hold on. How did 100 people come together all of a sudden and say, we're going to call us the Good Vibe Tribe?
Well, a lot of it was social media. So
kind of friends of friends kept, like, they would show up on an event or something that we were doing, and then it was just like, it wasn't like we were like an exclusive group. It was kind of just like whoever kind of was hanging out just kind of came into it, and there was definitely like a core group of us that were hanging out more often than others, but
it was also that time in our lives where we could like drink almost every day.
Yeah.
Had zero responsibility. The hangovers weren't that bad yet, so you could just cycle through a lot of people real quick.
Yeah, we were going out on like,
Wednesdays.
That
was the big night.
And
almost a super kids kind of thing was happening.
Oh, absolutely.
In Orange County.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So
okay.
It's funny that you brought that up because I heard a couple references in other podcasts about the super kids.
Yeah.
And I remember when a guy named Robert Wells brought me into the super kids now, like probably 2 or 3 years ago. I just remember looking at him and going, that is us, that we're the Orange County version of them. Mm-hmm. And we're just a lot smaller. I think now there's about 600 of us. And, they do a good job of keeping, that seems like a lot, but the way they manage everything, and there's different groups, there's different Burning Man camps and associations, and there's a lot going on. And to manage that many people and to keep that many people in line and to keep, there's a lot to do. I think, my hat's off to them.
So, with Good Vibe Tribe, like, was there any sort of organization happening, or is it just a group of people that happen to be on Facebook together and you'd go to parties?
Well, for the most part, it was just a group of people that would get online and say, hey, we're all going to go here tonight. Or our buddy Koizilla is spinning at Detroit Bar. So then that was just a way to push events just for us. We weren't even throwing the events yet. We just had buddies that were spinning them.
Right.
So that started collecting and, moving forward.
We would basically take over the whole place. We would have our own events there that the place wasn't having. So we all, like for birthdays, we'd have, my 25th was a wigging out party, so we all showed up in wigs, and there was so many of us that the bar literally thought that was the theme for the night, and it wasn't. It was just us having the party. We did a toga party, we did a mask party, we did all these different ones that were just like, it was a perfect place because you could kind of get away with it there. There was so many of us that we could all show up, and our friends were DJing, our friends were promoting the night, so it wasn't like we felt weird just showing up to a bar in a toga, like we were taking over, and everyone else felt weird because they weren't dressed up, and they were the minority we were the majority of the people there.
So when did you move to Orange County, and what brought you here?
I think like 6 or 7 years ago. I'm not sure. But I grew up in Norco, which is 30-40 minutes inland.
Norco's a city?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's a Corona area.
Okay.
And like smaller town. I liked growing up in a small town. It was nice. It was fun. I had a core group of friends, and we didn't get into too much trouble, and we're kids, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I had to get out. I would like look at it now, and I'm like, there's so much more out there.
So why Orange County?
I moved to Newport because I always wanted to live close to the beach.
Gotcha.
So I got my first place, like a bike ride away from the beach, and it was awesome. So I knew some people that were out here, but it kind of just was like.
Did you meet these guys when you came out here? How did that
Well, the
connection
funny
happen?
thing is Trav used to live across the street from some of my friends that I went to high school with. And I went over to their house plenty of times before I actually moved out here and never once met him.
Yeah.
We were always in the same spots, but never really connected because he was always over there. So it was kind of funny in that way, but so he started hanging out with them and we all came together in that way.
Yeah, yeah. And then this is when the Good Vibe Tribe stuff is happening. You guys hanging out more or partying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the discussion that was being had about changing the name, was that like, tell me more about that.
That was mostly just me.
Yeah.
I mean, Felicia was telling the truth when she says it was everyone's vibes were good except for yours. And not much has changed since that day, except for the name. So now I could just act like a dickhead without, ruining the name of the Good Vibe Tribe,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things Trav loves most about Burning Man is the like banter that you have there, and it's not all like, you can have that peaceful and experience if you want to, but I think he loves the
snark.
part that exactly.
Yeah.
Matt some too.
Does it feel like we're gonna do a sidetrack
more, way more?
Once he gets drunk, he loves to work the bar and spit that.
This is completely. I feel like people in like the past year, like all of a sudden the sensitivity meter has gone like way up.
Yeah.
Which is even more fun.
Has it happened in the past year? What the fuck happened?
Yeah, I think so.
Sprinklers came on. Oh, that was pause. All right, we're back. We have to pause for a second so that Trav could go turn off the sprinklers.
That have been off for 3 months. And I turned them on last night to go on at 7 a.m. Almost.
That's how fucking professional we are.
Almost.
So within, I want to know, it's like within the Good Vibe Tribe, it seems like there's, a core group of you guys that are starting to hang out more and you're developing a deeper friendship, because obviously not all 100 of you
Are very
here.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, that's always the hard part when, people in a group of people start moving different directions, especially ones that are negative. I'm not talking about the negative that I throw out when I'm calling people names. I'm talking about, they just get into the wrong drugs or hanging around the wrong people. I mean, like real, like life-changing negative ways that people go. And that has happened in the Good Vibe Tribe a lot. And, it's unfortunate, but, we have no problem putting their heads on the chopping block and just moving on and saying, we're going a different direction and you're not coming with us.
Yeah.
It's like a band,
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta boot people. Sometimes you gotta just change the name and come out with a new tune,
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But our core group hasn't changed in the 7 years we've been hanging out. So, which is crazy to think, because a lot of people have come in and a lot of people have come out. But for the most part, I mean, every single person that was in the core is still here. And we're slowly getting them all to come to the burn now, too.
Yeah.
So this year's a big year. A lot of people that have never burned in that group are going to be with us. I'm nervous for them.
From the people from the Good Vibe Tribe that have never been to the burn?
Oh, yeah. I
Right.
mean, this year...
You think you're still at about 100? Is there more now?
No.
We're probably at like 50 now.
Okay.
A lot of people moved out. They're up in like Portland, Chico, San Francisco, LA. A lot of them are in LA now.
The real ride or die good vibers are still around.
Yeah.
Okay. So was there, before Burning Man, was there another festival scene that you guys started to frequent that sort of like prefaced this? Like what led you to eventually end up at Burning Man?
Well, I think LIB was the life-changing event for us.
What year?
2010 or 11, we'll call it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2010.
Was it the second or third one?
The first one we did in Irvine Lakes, which was like the second to last one they did there.
Yeah.
So I don't know the years, but
How big was
There
your
was-
crew that went to that?
well, none of us
small
had
at
tickets,
first.
so we were all hopping the fence because it's in our backyard.
Nice.
Don't tell anyone that.
Yeah.
It was real easy too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a couple barbed wire fences, and it's where they do the mud run. So you have to hike through the mud run in your festival shoes. And the first year we did it every night. And actually we did it on a Thursday night.
You hop the fence every night.
So we hopped the fence on Thursday night. I hopped back over the fence, hitchhiked back to my car, went to work the next day, went straight back, did it again with our buddy Yi Yang, who's still with us, and he's gone to the last 3 burns with us.
Yeah.
And a couple other people, and we just every night we kept grabbing more and more people saying, hey, we got, and Pretty Lights was playing that year. So a lot of people found out. They're like, hey, I really want to go see Pretty Lights. How easy is it? It's not easy at all, but we can do it if we do it together.
Well, our buddy Yee's an Army Ranger. And
Yeah.
the first year he was like leading us in,
Yeah.
like telling us when to like duck down and when to go forward, had all these like army
He
signals
like,
with his hands.
yeah, he
It
like
was
Google Maps
fucking
the
awesome.
top of the layout and then
Yeah.
finds his route and
You had like a goddamn topographic map.
Hold on, how many of you are going in?
At this point, there was like 10 or 11 or 12
There's
of
10
us.
of you following an Army Ranger
Yeah.
to top the fence
to
to get
freedom.
Levy.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I remember the first, like the minute we hopped the fence, some guy, offering LSD, and I was like, well, yeah, of course. And then that was just it was the beginning, the real beginning for us.
What was it about LIB? I mean, I'm assuming you guys have been to other festivals.
Yeah, I mean, we had done Coachella, and we did,
yeah.
what was that one out in Nas Event Center?
Oh shit!
Nocturnal Wonderland?
Cypress
and
Hill Smokeout.
Smoke out. Yeah, we were doing things like that, like EDC,
LA.
things like that. But that I think LIB was like the first like more transformational festival. Free, open, like you're not getting patted down like you have a bomb on you walking in. It's just like free spirit, no judgment, no all of that. So I think that was it for us.
I remember Travis was talking with someone about the first time. He's like, it was like being dropped off in the middle of Wonderland.
Our
Pretty accurate. 'Cause
my favorite quote from that whole thing was, you and I had been, right when we got in, we took the LSD, and it was freezing. None of us were prepared. We didn't even have tents. I think I brought my tent, but I went to set it up and didn't have the tent poles. And I was the one guy with a tent, like the 3-man tent for 15 of us or whatever. So, of course, none of us had a place to sleep that night. We're all just running around freezing cold, and it rained on us, of course.
Oh my god!
And I just remember going into this little dome, and my arms were in my shirt, and I was just kind of going over the concept of how much better LSD is than a night out at the bar, where you go out to the bar, you spend hundreds of dollars, and you get wasted, and it's over, or you can take one little piece of paper tab for like $5 to $10, and you trip for 8 hours straight. And this guy was just this old man who had obviously been going for a long time, was sitting up on the ledge the whole time listening to me. And I looked up.
Were you talking to somebody?
I was talking to Matt.
Okay.
And he was just there listening. And he just looks up and he's like, cheap thrills, man. Cheap thrills. And that was when we knew that was home for us.
Yeah.
So I can tell you immediately, from the story that you're telling, it seems like one of the connections that you guys have is sort of I don't give a fuck if it rains, I don't have a place to crash. That's not something that everybody has. I feel like that's something that probably would be necessary if you're going to be comfortable with your closer inner circles. If you're sort of uppity about, I need to have this kind of shade, I need to have this kind of costume,
sure,
I need to have a bed.
I mean, for
it's
us,
not going to work out.
It's that way year round for us because, with that many people, we all like to have our big birthday parties too. So we'll go and we'll Airbnb a place that's meant to hold 15 people and we'll fit 30 or 40 people in there and not even think twice about it. And it's comfortable. I mean, everyone takes sleep cycles, or we don't sleep, or whatever it is, or you wake up and there's just bodies all over the floor.
Tents out back.
Yeah.
And I think it's we've been partying and staying up till the sun rises for way before we started going to LIB. So it was wait, there's music until sunrise? This is perfect.
Yeah.
So, it's
because that was something you didn't experience at the other festivals.
Yeah. I mean, you stay up, but there's not music and there's not stuff going on.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I mean, EDC Vegas has that's the only reason I even went the last time I went 4 years ago.
now,
that sunrise
now
set is
they
fucking
do.
awesome. Yeah.
Now they do, but they used to not.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, LIB, that's when you're all right, there's something to this. At what point were you guys made aware of Burning Man itself?
Oh man, that actually, I mean, we had always known about it.
Yeah, I had already known about it when we first went to LIB.
I first became aware of it. It was a Malcolm in the Middle episode. And I don't know how many people have told that story before, but I was
we've
12,
mentioned it, but that's the first time somebody said this. They learned about it.
13 or 14 years old. And I saw that episode and I was like, that place looks incredible. And, just always out of reach. Didn't know anyone that went. And then through the Good Vibe Tribe, I met a guy named Cameron Doherty, who's around still. And he's trying to get a ticket still, but he's in the Fire Conclave now and a glassblower and extremely active in the Burning Man community. So he was the first guy I had met that had actually gone. And he, over the course of the years, he was just saying it's like this and, it's a great place for this. And a lot of things he was trying to convince me that just weren't doing it for me, because he lives a completely different lifestyle, and the Fire Conclave is just something that doesn't appeal to me at all. So he'd be telling his stories, and I'd be like, yeah, it sounds all right, or whatever. And then I'd watch videos and go, this is what I want. I want this. People having a good time, people being real with each other. And, after a while, all the, we were going to like Lucidity and all these kind of like little hippie events that, are not necessarily our culture or our mentality. And then, of course, we start learning about Burning Man, and you go on their page, and it's just people being assholes, stacked on top of assholes.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, those are my people.
That's so funny.
How do we make that a part of our lives?
It's so common that people are really concerned about seeing, like, the veteran assholes, like, on Facebook, scaring off potential new people that join the burn, and you saw it, and you're like, I want to go there. The complete opposite.
Yeah. I do see a lot of that snark on there, like the Burning Man page. It's so funny. Like, someone is like really wanting like to ask a serious question, and then I'll just click on it just to like read over the comments, because some people will answer, but it's like 1 out of 20 to 30 is like a serious answer, and the rest is just snark. I don't have the time to keep up with all of it, but it's funny just to go and look at and just laugh a little.
It's amazing. Okay, so first burn. How did tell me about when that started, the planning for that?
So the first burn,
how did the decision get made?
For Goss and I
remember we were at Memphis, and I was like, I'm going to fucking Burning Man this year. And Bones was there. He was like, I was there years ago.
Bones is our Perky Parts camp MVP, by the way.
Always.
Yeah,
MVP.
We'll get into him a little bit later.
I was all perked up. I was like, I want to like smoke DMT and go bungee jumping off a pirate ship with a lesbian. And he's like, you can do like a couple of those things. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
You're really setting those expectations high.
I feel like the only one I don't know how to do would be the bungee jumping, but I'm pretty sure you can find yourself DMT, lesbian, you could jump off of something.
You might be able to bungee jump like kind of in the dome.
You could parachute?
Yeah.
Do parachuting? You could parachute with a lesbian and DMT into Burning Man.
In the Thunderdome, maybe that's a bungee, right?
That's true. There's a bungee, and somebody can hit you with a thing.
So Bones is the one who talked you into it, huh?
Yeah, I was like,
no way.
He's like, yeah, man, dusty lesbians. I'm like, dude, okay. And then
I want to go meet girls that aren't into
Did you say what's your lipstick?
I
can't wait to go be around more girls that I can't have.
And then I think you sat down and you're like, okay, I guess this is the year. And then you talked to Cameron, and somehow our Jew buddy Jules got on board.
Did you say our Jew buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
His name's Jules.
Okay.
We just call him the Jew. Jules.
Yeah.
And I had a spare ticket, and I was like, hey, you're the only guy I know that's like out of your right mind enough to come out to this thing that we really knew nothing about other than what we saw on Knock in the Middle and a few videos and the unenticing stories I've heard from Cameron. No offense, Cameron, but just so we just kind of went for it, and like anyone would, that we just had no idea what we were doing when we got out there. And,
were you there on this one, Bo?
I wasn't.
Okay.
We camped with so that first year we camped with the Fire Conclave called the Neon Monkeys, and I'm not sure if they're still around, but we had no business being there in the first place, and they did not hesitate to make us feel like we were unwelcome, which I can appreciate, because we do that to people plenty, and it's nice to know where you stand with people. I
would like a story. In what way did they make you?
So there were we just were kind of off on the side, camped, and it was a bummer because I brought all my sound equipment out there. We brought our big shade structure. They made an art gallery, so it wasn't like we weren't contributing. We brought a lot to the table for our first year. Hey. And
recording a podcast here. Shut the fuck up.
Calm down, dog. And for whatever reason, they just didn't take us into their circle, and we weren't around camp a whole lot. It was our first burn, so obviously we're running around a whole lot. And that's when the other co-founder, Lucas Rodriguez, and I really clicked. So we get there on Sunday, and we show up, and Lucas has a cane wrapped in L-wire. He has like 30 stitches all over his face, in his nose. And he's got 2 black eyes, and he's limping around the playa, and the gate had just been opened 2 hours prior. So I'm looking at him, and I was like, what happened to you, dude? And that year there was a coyote that had a spinning head on it. I don't know if you know that piece I'm talking about. But before the gates opened, the head was spinning around, and later they tied it down because the medics were like, hey, too many people are showing up to fall off the coyote. But he had fallen off the top of this 15-foot structure face first
Oh my god.
into a pile of something and just messed his whole face up. So the entire whole of him wanted to go home, but he knew that it would just kind of ruin whoever he came with, so he trooped it the whole time. And him and I spent that entire burn together pretty much. And that's when him and I clicked. And then a series of events happened that kind of led to why him and I decided to run a camp, our second burn. It was both of our second burns.
Holy shit.
So there was a big plate there, but...
Kim Eisenberg, who was on this show, I forget which episode, her first burn, she was doing like some sort of martial arts thing first night on Playa, and ends up breaking her leg. And I'm pretty sure it was her leg that she broke.
Did she stick around?
Yeah, well, she stayed the whole rest of the week because they're like, what are we going to do?
Trooper.
Yeah, she's like laid at camp, and different people would come and hang out with her throughout the time.
That's incredible.
Fucking
Hey,
amazing.
every
'Ause once
year is
you're
a
out
different
there,
experience.
It's not like you just get to like hop in a car and go down this like, the hospital and get dropped off and come back.
Especially you don't want to drive out of there with a broken leg either.
Yeah,
that would be.
man.
You'd have to have someone with you. So.
Goss, I just want to, for the listeners, understand. Goss is now drinking whiskey, and he has a jar of pickles. He is now drinking pickle juice. So I'm gonna want some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, continue about the first night while I do this.
So, yeah, that first year we were out there.
First year.
Weren't well received with the camp we were with. There's a lot of inner turmoil within the camp already. Like there was different conclave members fighting with other conclave members because one of them hooked up with his ex-wife or whatever. So we were just listening to constant bickering the whole time, which we loved. We were just in the corner giggling because it wasn't us for once, which is nice not to be in the crosshairs.
How many of you were there?
Oh man, that was a big camp. What, 50, 60?
No, not with the conclave, just your crew.
Oh man, it was me, Matt Goss, and my buddy Jules.
Okay, just the
So
three
just
of you.
the three of us.
Okay.
And I think we each brought an easy up and a tent, like a little 2-man tent each.
Did those easy ups survive?
Mine didn't. How'd yours do?
I just had a tent, and I was just under someone else's shit.
Oh,
It's
well.
like-
Yeah, I mean,
This is like a
man.
true virgin burn story right here. I love it.
I mean, just we had no business being there, and they
we were trying our best.
were
though.
relentless.
Hell yeah.
And we tried. I mean, we were
No, these guys were like
we were doing
actual,
dishes.
just like scumbag dickheads. Because this guy that we were with, I won't name his name anyway. He was like, we were expecting this acid delivery, and this guy came by and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for so and so. Where is he?" And they're like, "Oh, we'll let him know."
No, that was me. They came by looking for me. Remember? And then you overheard it, and they're like, "Will you deliver a message to Travis?" And the guys are like, "Yeah, for sure, we'll deliver it." And then as soon as my buddy left, to this day we don't know who it was. All three of the guys who was talking to said, "Yeah, right, we're not delivering that message."
We don't know what the
That's the story.
All the stories are about you. Anyway, it was about our other buddy, but whatever. And
Well, I guess I ruined that one, huh?
Okay,
but to be fair, we were a fucking fish out of water. I remember the first group meeting, we showed up with red party cups. We're drinking out of party cups on the playa. It's just
Oh,
yeah.
wow, that's
wow, like
real
total
bad.
frat boy
Yeah,
status.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
We were totally doing that, and we thought it was awesome to be counterculture.
yeah. No one told us any better. I remember I got sat down because I had fucking
Glow sticks.
glow sticks on, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now-
you guys didn't do any
Well,
research.
no one told us
huh?
anything. Yeah,
I felt like we
that's
did.
what-
We did all the whole way there. I kept bragging. Well, I read this.
Well, no. Remember, Cameron was like, bring glow sticks.
Yeah, we didn't have the
Bring
guy who
all
was
the
giving us
stuff.
all the
Yeah.
advice was giving us the wrong advice, and that was our mistake for taking it.
Okay, so the crew that you're camping, I obviously don't know them, but am I trying to understand? Were they very burnier than thou, or were they just dickheads? In your opinion,
Some of
after
them were old
experience?
school,
It was a
school
combo.
burners.
There were some 10+ year burners out there.
There was a
They were in it for the real
19-year-old
deal.
kid that was screaming because someone
Right.
had hooked up with his chick or something. It was a weird crew.
Yeah,
And if this crew is listening, by the way,
We're sorry.
the opinions expressed on the show are
Well,
always
happens.
against.
It's tough shit.
So,
that's not the last time you're gonna have to send out that reminder.
so did you guys? Was it on Playa? Was there did you guys have a magic moment on Playa that you're like, this is fucking it? I'm never not coming back to this.
That's a good question.
So for me,
Usually people don't have to think about it.
it was a combination of just all the hype leading up to it, actually living up to what you expected. And the biggest part of that was understanding how much work it is to get everything out there.
Yeah.
So you see these massive structures and creations and artistic, like just sights to see. And my first thought was the amount of work that it took that artist or that camp or whoever that was that created that is so excessive. We can easily create that in a city and no one will look twice. But the minute it comes out here, it's just the most impressive thing you've ever seen. So that was the kind of the first phase. And I remember going under the man. That was the year they had the big man on the UFO. And I just dropped to my knees and started crying for no reason. And all my friends are looking at me like, what is wrong? I remember Matt and Jules just going like, this kid is messed up. And this girl comes over and just hands me a little sticker that says burner on it. And I was like, all right, well, now it's official.
That was your moment.
That was my moment.
Were you on acid by any chance?
Absolutely.
Okay. You didn't throw up afterwards, did you?
No.
Okay. Because usually I have actually, this is something that I've learned from some veterans, is when you all of a sudden get flooded, if you see somebody all of a sudden get flooded with emotion, find somewhere for them to puke. That might be the neurons firing off.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's why I puke so much.
Yeah, during the acid trip.
Oh, just in general.
In general,
he pukes. He's a puker.
He's just a puker?
Yeah.
Definitely a puker.
Did you think about your answer, guys?
Yeah, no, I remember that first year. So we had an embarrassing amount of moon rocks on us.
Well, tell
what the fuck we're gonna do with all these goddamn moon rocks?
Oh my god,
you know
this
what I mean?
story is great.
And there's a crew of us, and we're out somewhere on the playa, just sitting on this big structure. I'm sitting down with our friend Tanya, and our legs are just kind of dangling over the side, you have a short person on a toilet, just dangling. And
I have no idea what that feels like.
Fucking knee deep in fucking moon rocks, this fucking great,
We did that as our gift.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be valuable currency out there.
You brought a fuck ton of moon rocks.
Oh man, just way too much.
And we're like, God, this fucking sucks. And we see all these kids in this art car just filling up balloons and huffing them down and having a great time. And Tanya and I look at each other, we're like, yeah. And she's like, oh, hey, Goss, why don't you go down and get some? I'm like, first of all, you have tits, and that's a guy. Why don't you go get some? And so we trot our asses down there, and he's like, they were in the same boat that we were, except they had bought an embarrassing amount of whippets. Yeah. They're like, dude, we'll trade you, whatever drugs you have, we'll trade you for whippets. Whatever you have. I'm like, well, we have moon rocks. And they were from, Slovakia or whatever, Moldova or some war-torn piece of shit country in Europe, you know what I mean? Yeah, what the fuck are moon rocks?
We're going through offending pretty much everybody we can offend on this episode. Apologize to our listeners in Eastern Europe, by the way. Please continue.
And they're just whatever drugs you have, we'll trade for whippets. We're like, okay. And we pull out our little baggie, and they're like, all right, we'll give you a handful of whippets. And our Jew buddy Jules has all the fucking moon rocks on him, and he's like, yeah, kind of makes a sour face, and they're like, all right, we'll do two cases of whippets. How about that for some moon rocks? And Jules is like, well, I don't know. So all of a sudden it's 4 cases of whippets. And he's like, so how many moon rocks you guys want? And they're like, fine. And it's 6 cases of whippets. And he's like, you know what, and I'm going to throw in a freaking...
The cracker.
And not just a little cracker, one of these, but
double stack.
A
it
whipped
fit
cream
3 or
canister.
4, yeah.
Yeah. And
a quality cracker.
Slams it on top of this, by the time, it's a mountain of fucking whippet boxes.
Oh my god.
And Jules is like, deal. And it was just unreal. It was this is fucking Burning Man,
this is
bartering at its finest.
Oh dear Lord. You guys... Were you
able
to get through
$300 worth of fucking whippets?
Well, you said you brought them out. You brought the moon rocks as a gift, but then the point of the story was that you outbartered somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we knew we'd have some leverage.
Our buddy Jules is just,
I think you should tell him a story about. I think that might have been our first or second night on Playa when you met one of Fatal's buddies.
Oh my god.
Named Nameless, but so. We're out in our little U-Haul. We had a little U-Haul, and that's just kind of where it was our safe zone because we didn't really have a nice chill area. And we cooked in there, and we did everything in there, and we just the 3 of us would all meet back there. And I feel like I barely saw the 2 of them, but that was one of the rare moments where the 3 of us were hanging out. And this guy comes over from a different camp, and he's just having a great time, being super nice. He's like, hey, my wife and I are celebrating our honeymoon, and we baked these brownies. And he pulls out, and we're not big weed smokers because we do all the hard stuff. But
do real fucking drugs.
Yeah, we do real fucking drugs. Pot's for stoners, losers. And so he gives us, and I could smell him. I'm looking at it, I was like, dude, the last time I ate edibles, I was high for like 3 days. Like, we took him and we were super stoked for him. And I didn't think in the end of the world any of us would eat them. And apparently Goss had eaten like way too much, gone to his tent, and
this guy had just gotten married, And he, like, oh, what are you doing for your honeymoon? He's like, oh, I'm going to go to the orgy tent with my wife. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, that's sweet.
Like, whatever you're into, dude.
So Goss eats way too much, goes back to his tent.
I ate a lot because he gave us these weed brownies, and I thought he said, you eat a quarter of it and you'll be good to go. He said, eat a corner, like a tiny corner.
Uh-huh.
So I said a quarter.
You heard his...
Yeah, and
Okay.
And then
Damn.
I was making eggs, and then all of a sudden I was kind of like slumping over.
Yeah.
Like, just not doing anything.
Yeah,
So
edibles
it's
sort
just-
of like little by little just start showing up. And then once you think like, oh, good, I'm high now. Nope, I'm still getting higher.
Yeah.
3 hours later, I am still getting higher. I didn't think it was possible to get any higher than I am, and somehow I am getting higher.
The world's spinning.
So yeah, that happens to Goss. He's cooking scrambled eggs at 9 p.m., so he's high. And he just kind of disappears to his tent. We don't know that. We don't know where he went. So we're not too worried about it. And about an hour later, he comes back to camp, and he's just like white, stone white, like he had just seen a ghost. And I'm looking at him, I was like, are you all right, dude? Like, normally I would never care. But
That's true.
I was just really concerned for him, the look on his face. And he's like, remember that gay dude we met over across? Yeah, he snuck into my tent, started cuddling me. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, you just left him hanging, dude? What a dick.
Yeah, you're an asshole.
And he's just
Man.
and poor guy, he's just so high, he like didn't know how to react. And if he had been drinking liquor, he would have reacted just fine. But that crippled crutch of the marijuana.
I just laid down, and like I'm just seeing all these fractals flying through space, like high as fuck,
Wait, this was weed you ate, right?
Yeah. I couldn't fucking
You see
believe it.
fractals from weed?
I don't smoke weed at all, and I had
An edible.
I'm not sure if it was weed.
I know, right? A little
Nice.
mushies in there or
Yeah, I've had a
something.
mushroom brownie, my friend.
Anyway, there I was, high as fuck.
Yeah.
Laying down, I'm like, this is gonna be a fun night, to myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
got my breathing under control. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good sleep. Can't wait. I'm just flying through space. This is awesome. And then all of a sudden, I hear this zip, and this little he's a black guy, little black head comes through, and he's like, hey Matt, want to do some whippets? Before I have time to say anything, he's like cuddled up next to me, and he's nuzzled up into my neck, and I can feel his. I remember this because I was so fucking high. I could feel his breath on my neck, just like because he was all breathing heavy. Just like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. I'm so fucking high. I can't fucking move. And I just got like the power of fucking Jesus Christ, and I was like, all right, I'm fucking out of here. Like, got up and to the tent, and that's when I ran into Travis, and I was just like, dude,
God.
I probably sounded like a raving lunatic. I'm like, dude, there's like some guy in my tent. I don't know what to do.
I mean, if it was like a different drug, you mean your beautiful virgin asshole might have been a history.
So I didn't believe him. I thought he was just seeing shit.
Yeah.
So I ran over the tent all quick. I was like, no way. Get my flashlight, shine it in there. I just see these two little cat eyes like glowing in my headlamp, and he's trying to look all cute. He's in there like thinking I'm Matt. So he's like had his head up, propped up on his palm, like ready to receive Matt. I was like, holy shit. So I come back, I was like, it's real, he's really in there. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm too high to leave. I have nowhere to sleep. So that night I let him sleep in my tent. And yeah, that was
And that guy slept in your tent?
the entire night.
Yeah.
Oh,
The entire night.
hanging. Matt, you're such a cock tease. He doesn't have an answer for that. He's like,
You're
yes.
the-
No comment.
Well, you're the first one he's ever heard that from. So
At some point, the decision gets made that not only are you guys coming back, you're making a camp.
yeah. So after we were kind of rejected from our first experience, Lucas and I kind of like, he has a place he can go because he's up north in Chico, and he's a really talented artist. He could have gone anywhere, and anyone would have taken him, and he would have contributed a lot to that camp. And I tried to get into Ego Trip at the time, because Ego Trip, at this point, it was Ego Trip, like Dusty Poon Saloon, Shangri-La, all those camps that I had been looking up to and idolizing. And just kind of like, wow, it'd be really cool to be a part of that without really fully knowing how much goes into a camp yet. And yeah, the ego trippers were like, hey, and their process is, pretty stringent. They want to know who you are. They want to know you well. They want to make sure a lot of people within the camp are comfortable with you. And I just wasn't there yet. So at that point, I had told Luke.
Why those camps? What about them attracted you?
I had a lot of homies in Ego Trip that I just kind of had been burning for a while. Like Daddy Krabs and Jesse, Guida, and like pretty much everyone I looked up to and that I could really get along with. That are just like real dudes that like to, have fun and party and just like cut the bullshit. They're all at Ego Trip at this point. So when that didn't happen, I went back to Luke and I said, hey, why don't we just start our own camp? And
this was year 1 or second year?
This was year 2.
Okay.
And
who did you camp with second year?
So year 2, we didn't have a name. We had about 15 people.
Okay.
We had everything though. We had our structure from Lib. We had all my lights, all the DJ equipment, all our speakers.
Are you at this one?
No.
Nope, second year not yet.
So Matt and I are still here. So we rounded up everyone we knew that went to Burning Man that wasn't already in the camp, and we counted about 15 people. And so Lucas and I got together. How do we get more people? And he knew a guy in Oakland. I'm not going to get into his name because our terms of Exodus were very poorly executed on their end. And I don't want to talk negatively to anyone, but so they brought, we had everything. Not that we're a turnkey camp, but at this point I met a girl at Utopia, San Diego, who her name's Jamie Sparks, and she's an incredible girl. And at this point in time, she was doing the shade, like setting up these big shade structures for Embrace, for the temple, just going around setting up these huge shade structures all over the burn. And she wanted to camp with us, and we're like, yeah, do it. So we had this awesome, like 100 foot by 100 foot or whatever the dimensions were, like $20,000 stretch tent that we had built. It took a team. We had the Israelis with us that year. Remember them?
Yeah.
Oh man, these guys, awesome dudes. The entire crew, just hard workers. I mean, it's like
you guys doubled down on your Jew faction in the camp.
These guys were Israeli Jews though. They all served military time, and they were like used to working in the desert probably.
Work
horses. Jews.
Yeah.
And we're hammered in 3.5 foot rebar.
Warrior Jews.
And like
Right.
us, like we're out there, like we'll get like 3 or 4 hits in, and we're done. And these guys are just one after another. Just it was unreal. Like
They're building a settlement or something.
Where are these guys now and why?
They're back in Israel. We're still in touch with all
Let's
of them.
invite them out.
And if you guys are listening, you are welcome back anytime. They were just the greatest dudes to have around because they helped us build that camp. And then so by the time the rest of camp had rolled in, and at this point, there was probably 7 of them, and they were part of the 15 that we had accrued. So Lucas went out and found this group of people up in Oakland. And
I'm sorry, we're still in year 2 right now, right?
Year 2.
Okay.
And so we found this guy out in Oakland, and he didn't have anything. He knew he wanted to go to Burning Man, but they didn't have structures or shade or...
Had you come up with the Perky Parts theme already at this
Not
point?
even close by
This
then.
is just, you've just gotten together and you're doing it.
Yeah, we didn't have a name still.
Gotcha.
So Lucas brings this guy in, and him and I immediately aren't getting along because we're trying to, we had everything. All we have to do is show up. And this guy's rolling like 50 deep in this crew. And, most of them were okay, we'll say. Matthew?
Yeah, no,
They were nice enough, but...
a few of them were really cool.
So they roll up, and there's 50 of them. So now we're a 70-person camp. It's Lucas and I's second year on Playa, and we're running this 70-person camp, which was just, overwhelming. We bit off more than we could chew.
Yeah.
That's quite the understatement. That's a huge deal.
We realized it early, but him and I just decided that we were going to power through it.
It looked great though.
How did placement for this work? For somebody who's like literally been on Playa once and now you're
We
running
got
this
dog
70%
shit
camp.
placement.
Oh, we were at like let's see.
It was on a dead end street,
Okay.
and we had like all this sweet setup, and no one would ever pass by because it's a dead end street.
I think
so
we're
it's
at 645 and F.
Yeah.
But it's like a double dead end street, so we got no foot traffic at all. And the thing was, when you looked at our camp, it was gorgeous. I mean, it was professionally done. The bar looked great. Aesthetically, it was just for a second year. People were coming in at our camp and going, our camp dues were like $60, and we still had people complaining about how expensive it was. And we had top shelf liquor. We had like Jack Daniels and all this great booze at the bar because we had a buddy who was there stocking it. And our camp was awesome that year, except for the other 50 people that were there didn't do anything, just showed up and went, wow, this is awesome. Half of them stiffed me on camp dues, didn't even pay me. I was tracking them down on Playa.
This is the whole Oakland crew.
Yeah. So that year we went by, we really wanted to keep the monkey name, the monkey theme for some reason, which I'm really glad we got rid of from the year before.
Yeah.
So our official name was Crunklantis and the Sea Monkeys.
Yeah, I don't. No.
So, because this dude who we don't get along, his name is King Crunk. He goes by King Crunk. And the only, like, on a personal level, great guy, has a God bless his heart. They do things differently in Oakland, and I can respect the difference in culture. But the last day, it was Sunday, everyone knew we had to break down. 70 people, 60 of them bailed in the middle of the night. So by the time I wake up, there's 10 of us left. And we have to take 70 people's trash, 70-person breakdown. We have to pull those 3-foot rebar out of the ground. And it had rained that year. So everything's concrete. So it took us 15 hours to get everything done. I mean, maybe a lot less. But we were it was the worst thing. We had no way to get all the trash out. We had
literally speechless.
It was horrible.
Were these people veteran burners?
A few of them were 2 or 3 year burners, 4 years.
Wow.
So we took that as a massive sign of disrespect, and we burned our bridges with them. And after, I remember, like 4 or 5 hours into it, I'm pumping like filthy shower water out of our gray water tank into a 55-gallon drum, and I'm just covered in like people's body waste, and I'm just like, and I remember looking around and I'm saying, if we do this again next year, if we ever come back to Burning Man and we're going to do a camp, I'm not letting anyone camp with us unless I'm comfortable being able to scream at them to get to work. So that was the direction that ended up leading to Perky Parts.
I want to go back for a second here. So after the first burn, am I understanding correctly, you guys went to Utopia?
Yes.
Okay. How did Utopia come to your attention?
Just from hanging out with all the San Diego cats. Like a few of the super kids, a lot of the super kids at that point went. Shangri-La did a huge camp.
Right.
Oh man, that camp at Utopia, I don't remember. Yeah. So much fun.
Totally. It's kick ass.
And that year I went with our buddy Nicky Noops, and I think it was me. That's where I met Jamie Sparks, Nicky Noops, and the girls with the time. There's just 4 of us. And we had 4 of us in a tent.
Because with going to Utopia, like I would venture to say that sort of is the threshold that you guys cross that a lot of people don't, that go to Burning Man, is like, this is like their one time a year thing, but you guys were like, okay, we're going into the culture, we're going into this community, something about this is speaking to us.
I actually take that back. I went to Utopia first.
Okay. That was your intro?
That was my intro. And
after LIB?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had never actually been to the burn, went to Utopia. Whatever year that was. Okay. So this will be my 4th burn.
So Utopia is where some of these connections get made. That's where plans are being made for your second burn.
Yes.
And you are completely out of your mind, and you decide that you want to have a 70% camp second year on Playa and take up all that responsibility.
Well, the 70% just kind of happened. I knew 15 wasn't enough. And, half of it is how much harder can an extra 35, 40 bodies be without realizing their space, and everyone kind of needs to be paid special attention to. And that was, it was not a fun year. That was the year that at the end, I remember after that 15-hour pickup, I was saying, I'll never come back again. And I feel like a lot of us at that point were in the same boat.
There's no camp unity at all.
Yeah. I think it's a difference between when you're bringing a camp together that doesn't normally hang out or do other camps. And I'm skipping ahead a little and we'll go back, but it's when we came together, it was we've been doing all of this for so long. We normally hang out. We are a group that is...
There's team building.
So, because I was hanging out with them the whole time that all this stuff was going on, so I heard all the stories and all that, and I think it was just groups that weren't necessarily the same mesh, that were kind of oh yeah, let's go together, thinking I mean, it can't be that bad, you think you're going out to a this great fucking experience, and then
but it's not just a carnival, you're going out to a battlefield, you gotta know that you got teammates to have your back. And then that's what I think it was a huge learning experience for... It's quite an understatement.
Yeah.
Learning. Okay, so that's a good threshold. It's all right, I got to be able to scream at you.
Yeah, either I'm never coming back again, but if I am, I get the megaphone and I get to scream and I get to be a dick. And I'm really glad Lucas and I have been in this since day one together, because he's kind of I'll get riled up, and before I get riled up with the rest of camp, I'll get riled up with him, and he'll go, we're not in high school anymore, get over it. Just, little things that get under my skin. So he's the calm, collected one, the artistic, talented one, and I'm just the one that flies off the handle.
He's your yang.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We already have a yi yang already.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's our ranger.
Yang is also my
That's
Yang.
our ranger.
So many Yangs.
That year wasn't all bad though. We had a lot of highlights. We met Larry Harvey that year.
Yeah.
Like randomly
man.
out in the middle of not in the middle of play, but he was just in
That
summer
was
camp.
the next day. It rained that night, and we were building. That build was the gnarliest build. Hopefully, we'll ever have to have hitting in those rebars. And we went to bed early. Started pouring rain on us at like 4 a.m, and I thought someone had just taken water and thrown it on the side of my tent. And then I saw lightning and heard the loudest thunder I've ever heard. And I immediately pop up and run out because we had never covered any of our speakers or any of our sound equipment because we didn't think any rain was coming. Yeah. And we ruined a brand new speaker during the rainstorm, and so we were super pissed about that. I don't think it had even been turned on yet. And so then Matt and I decided we're going to go get ice. You can barely walk on Playa because it's so thick under mud. The gate's closed because I think it was Monday at that point. Or maybe it was Sunday morning.
It fucking cakes around you. Like it all of a sudden you're walking with cement boots.
Oh, you'll have people are out there with socks on, with trash bags, everyone's trying different things. Yeah. And Matt and I are trying to pull a cart to get ice. And all the other ice things are closed except for center camp. And
you can't let your food go bad.
Yeah, obviously.
We had no choice.
You're gonna end up dying.
How to do it, right?
So Matt's like, you know what? We're doing the fool's errand. We're gonna go out there, and that ice run took us like 5 hours or something ridiculous because we kept having to stop. Scooter's too heavy to hold and carry, so we had like a screwdriver, and we were just banging or like
Chiseling
scraping
away.
off mud. You'd get it like a couple rotations, and you'd have to stop. And we were in good spirits, like. It's just we're kind of laughing at the situation. So we get to center camp, wait forever for ice, and as we're pulling away, I see Larry Harvey come out in his little galoshes, and he's just kind of like looking out at the weather, looking up, looking around, and I realize it's him. So I run over and I immediately ask him for a light, and of course he has that big torch when he lights his cigarettes. He's like, "Pull your face away." So I pull my face away, lights my cigarette. We ended up talking to him for 20 minutes about just about the day, when are they going to open the gates, or just kind of just not giving him too much. I don't want him to think we're idling, worshiping the ground he walks on.
Yeah.
And then at one point, the whole time I just assume that Goss knows who he is. At what point, Goss looks at him and goes, "So how many Burning Mans have you been to?"
It rained really bad, and I was like, have you ever been out here when it's rained like this? He's like, well, I've been here all the years. And,
No. He's like, "How many have you been to?" And he pulls back and he's like,
"Oh, wow,"
as politely as he could.
Man, all the years. God damn.
And I got to give him credit because I was like, he's gonna sound like an asshole no matter what. And he's like, "Well, I've been to all of them." And Matt's like, he's like impressed. He's like, "Wow, all of them?" And then I look, I was like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" And Matt just kind of
okay.
So I remember looking at Matt and asking him, "Do you know who you're talking to?" And
while he's standing there?
Yeah, he's standing right there. And he kind of looks at him like he knows he should know who it is and was about to make it up. And he just kind of goes, "No, I don't." And I was like, "All right, well, I'll tell you later." And the conversation went on. And we talked about politics. He talked about how one year the National Guard came out and they all pointed their guns at the gate. And he just walked out and he says, "I thought we were human beings." And they got into a political talk for a while, which was really cool to be a part of. And I was just blown away by how much time he wanted to. The gates weren't open, so there's people that spent the night in their car in the mud in the rain, and he's out there smoking a cigarette, talking to the two of us for a really long time.
Yeah.
And he was just a really cool, humble dude. And I remember just coming away from that conversation. People are going by, just kind of waving at him, and people are going by in socks, and he's going, "That guy right there is doing it right." And I'm like, "You think socks is like over bare feet?" He goes, "That guy in the socks has the biggest smile. That's how I know that guy's doing it right." And that was, just exactly what you would think would come out of the guy's mouth who created this masterpiece of a place that we can't stop thinking about, So that was a very powerful experience for Matt and I to just kind of meet the guy who puts it all together and to not be let down by everything he had to say. And then, of course, it was 3.5 hours back to camp with ice on our buckets this time. Yeah. But we were just, the entire week, I remember just being elated over how great that conversation went and how rare it is probably to just be out and see him. So that was, there were a lot of highlights our second year.
But that's good though. Ultimately, like that experience that you have with somebody can really make or break which direction you end up going. So it does make sense that Perky Parts decided to double down next year.
I'm glad we did because that third year, last year was really the year for us as a camp, as a group of friends, just as individuals. I think it was still a lot of work, but we were better prepared. I was a lot more excited going into it because I was able to, like I said, I was able to grab a lot of my friends that I know are, battle tested and tried and true, that we can all get along camping together. I know they're not going to leave me hanging on Monday morning when it's time to pack up.
Yeah.
And we made that clear because I feel like it should have been clear before those guys pulled that move our second year.
Yeah.
But, our camp was really great. It came together really well.
I think it was like, it wasn't necessarily like, it was our like you guys' first rodeo during Burning Man, but like not our first like rodeo, as in we had a structure already that we'd been taking to LIB for years and throwing parties with. We'd been throwing parties and after parties and at LIB for a couple years, so we were kind of like well adjusted in that sense, where we kind of had that going on for us. And then once it was like true friends for us, like, and them to be out there with, then it kind of was a little bit easier.
Are you called Perky Parts at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so this year,
How did that idea come up?
So we're in third year right now?
So actually we were at Lucidity a couple of months before. Lucidity is one of our favorites. Ironically, like Matt Goss just hates electronic music. So whenever we'll go to festivals, and I'm saying he's my favorite guy that I never see. Like him and I'll drive out together, and we'll set up tents next to each other, and then I won't see him the entire time we're anywhere. So, and he's off at doing whatever people that hate electronic music do at festivals. But
No, he's still around. He's around.
for whatever reason, he loves going. We all love going to Lucidity. It usually lands in the same weekend as Coachella, and that was Cameron Doherty, the same guy that convinced us to go to Burning Man, was the same guy that convinced us to ditch Coachella and go.
Wait, Cameron, the one who was bad at convincing you to go to Burning Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
That failed attempt, we'll say.
Yeah.
So now we've been. I think this will be our 6th year at Lucidity, but so last year, or was it? Yeah, last year we went. It was a rare opportunity where Matt and I were actually hanging out, frying super hard. I was off my head. I hadn't slept the entire time. It was Sunday afternoon at this point, and
Typical.
I was just a mess. And he was just, when he gets really messed up on anything.
Motorcycle that keeps driving by. It sounds like the exact same fucking
right?
motorcycle that keeps driving by. Please continue.
We'll get you.
Fucker. All right.
So Matt is just, he always has this like little twang he'll use. Like, I don't know if it's a Texas twang or whatever, but he always just kind of talks in this like, hey, come here, little pretty lady. Let me show you. Get over here, little lady. And he was doing that all day. And it was just cracking everyone up. And he always, doesn't seem like he's in control because he loves dropping like just really bad racial slurs sometimes. But he'll wait until no one that's going to be offended is around. Yeah. And
like a good white person.
It's really like offensive. It's kind of like a Boomhauer, George Bush kind of a twang, You get kind of upset real easy. You like pretty girls, that kind of thing.
He's like, hi, my name's Matt Goss. Yeah. I like menthol cigarettes, electronic dance music, and pussy.
Those are also things that I like. Right? We get along.
So the name Perky Parts, legitimately came from one of those rants he was going off. And he's like, come over here, little pretty lady, show me those Perky Parts. And I was just off my head, and I just thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. And the whole night I just kept, it's like a 2.5 hour drive from Santa Barbara back to where we are. And the whole night I just was emulating that, just saying, Perky Parts. And then at like halfway through the drive, I remember saying, that should be our Burning Man camp name. And he's like, well, yeah, duh. And then my concern was that we were going to pitch it to the ladies, and the ladies were going to hate it. So we held a meeting, and there's about 15 or 20 of us there. And we pitched the idea. I had all kinds of different ideas written out. Yeah. And I humored everyone else. I was like, what do you guys think we should call ourselves? And, it's like trying to name a band in junior high, all these stupid, like Chocolate Number 12 or just stupid names. And I was like, all right, well, here's the name.
What the fuck is Chocolate Number 12?
Name, dude. It was the name of my ska band that I never created.
Of course.
That's shit that's coming up in his head.
If I ever created a ska band, it would be a no-brainer what our name
Couldn't find a trumpet.
Do you play the trumpet?
A little bit.
Complete. Band complete. So we convinced, all the ladies were all about it. I mean, the minute we pitched that name, everyone's like, I love that. I think that's a great name. And it just kind of started rolling forward from there.
Where'd the mannequins come from?
Man, I don't even know.
That was kind of like
we're kind of worried all the girls couldn't, actually have perky parts. So
Yeah.
Mannequins don't age. They don't gain weight.
Their parts are always perky.
Yeah.
their parts are always perky.
Yeah.
I think that is actually where the mannequins came from, because we needed some parts to stay perky, and what better way to do it than with cheap plastic molding that are obviously surrounded all over my house.
And recyclable. You can use them all year round.
Yeah.
They're plant holders. And
Succulents.
Well, I feel
top.
like it lines up with what you were saying earlier, which is like you could have some random shit like right here in the city and it wouldn't be a big deal, but if you drag it all out into the middle of the desert, it's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
So you guys have like all kinds of mannequin parts, like just people are just gathering. None of them are even full mannequins, I think. It's mostly random
we
parts.
do.
the full mannequins are actually
in the garage.
our friend Vanessa, who's not burning with us this year.
She's taking them.
She's doing a big show tomorrow, so I brought them
Yeah.
for her, because now it's just a part of, like, even when we throw events here in the city,
Yeah.
the mannequins are part of it.
Yeah.
Part of the theme, yeah.
So we've just
We take them everywhere.
developed this weird obsession with mannequins. Like when I see them out, and I'm like, dude, that's a sick mannequin.
Yeah.
I just want to strip it off the really nice clothes it's wearing. Like the whole time we were in Japan,
We took them out to Trav's
they
birthday.
have great mannequins in Japan.
We took him out to Trav's birthday when we did Joshua Tree, when we rented a house that was huge, but we overloaded it again.
Yeah.
Same thing, throwing our own party type thing and celebrating his 30th. And we took the mannequins out. It's like, we set up the table, we set up the DJ booth, and they're like staples next to, having our setup.
Yeah.
So they've just become a part of it now.
So that at this point,
Dressing them up, people come up, like when we did Utopia last year, people were coming up, putting masks on them that
Tying them up
stayed
with
and
rope?
tying them up with rope. They're just like kind of just
they're like characters.
Yeah, it's
No, it gives a lot of personality, for sure. And so first year that you guys are called Perky Parts on Playa, at this point you've learned your lessons. The only people that are allowed in are people you can scream at.
Yeah, well, obviously there's only so much you can hold that to, and we don't really hold it that tight. It's just kind of like a nice shelter or a way to screen people. So we ended up with a lot of randoms last year, a lot of first-timers, which I think we really appreciate, because it keeps me motivated when people are coming out. I can kind of knock off the jaded, salty, like, I've been to Burning Man before, I know better than everyone mentality, and I get to teach people what I know and what I learned and all the things that no one ever taught me my first year, and help prepare them. And sometimes
I don't even know what we were saying, to be honest. We paused it because the plane was flying and then everybody started pissing and we lost track of it. That's okay. We needed to figure out what's happening. Okay, so Perky Parts, how many people are on Playa first year? Official Perky Parts
I think we had like
members?
54, and we wanted the number around 50.
Okay.
We're talking about how nice it is
Great.
to have first-time burners out there.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's...
You said you like that.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's kind of like when you go to Disneyland. Like, we have Disneyland's down the street for us. A lot of us have Disneyland passes.
Right.
We'll go twice a week, and it
Really?
can get old. Oh, yeah,
Nice.
we go a lot.
Okay.
It's a great place. Speaking for, someone that's always happy and down to go celebrate
Yeah.
commercial, overpriced amusement parks. But, we'll go twice a week, and it kind of gets old, and then you see a family that goes out there, and they have 2 young kids, and they're definitely from like Minnesota or wherever, and that's just
Definitely
like
from Minnesota.
Dad saved up all his pennies for months and months and months to make that family trip happen, and everyone's loving it, and they put so much money into that trip and effort into that trip. I kind of get that. You have to do that. All the when you go to Burning Man, you have to do that too. So
You like seeing the excitement of people.
I like
who
seeing people that are fresh and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and if I can
They're not
facilitate
bitter
that,
old veterans yet.
I don't mind it either. Like, I enjoy both ends of the spectrum there, but
I feel like with our group too, it's not like we're bringing out people that
are clueless.
aren't clueless. They're coming out for the first time, but they've been festival goers for a long time, and they go out and camp in Joshua Tree, and they know how to rough it, and it's like, so it's not like they're like these virgin like sissy la la, like they've put up our structure, they've took it down, they know how to, like, they might not know everything, obviously, because Burning Man's a whole different spectrum, but in a way it's bringing them out there and their experiences in this awesome thing, but they're also gonna
Good at
help
it.
us out.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. They're good at it.
Right.
So
I think the biggest thing is well, the trash is the big, like for us, it's the biggest thing, and a lot of us aren't the best at it, but we have our MVP Bones that just regulates camp, and he'll walk around and we'll look around and we'll do look around and the camp will seem clean, and he'll go around with his little wand and he'll come back with the full contractor grade trash bag full of trash in 15 minutes. And he's like, hey, and he'll never complain. He'll never even tell you you're being a mess.
he helps other camps when they're packing up. I'm like, what is he doing? He's over there helping them tear down once we're done. It's like, it's crazy.
But yeah, I think a lot of it now, as we've learned, is it's a lot easier. The learning curve for your friends that have been going to these events with you for so long is it's a lot easier. So this year will be another experience because we have a lot of our friends that go to, they
All
go
these
everywhere.
different events,
And they can rough it, and they can, I know they were on the same hours.
What have you? So what was like lessons that you implemented the first year you were sort of like officially Perky Parts?
So
and how have they sort of translated to the coming years that you guys have been on Playa?
So last year was our first year as Perky Parts. After we pitched it to the group,
2014 or 15?
15.
Okay.
And
But you've only been officially Perky Parts for 1 year.
yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that
What the
1
hell is
year,
that?
that's that light going on.
Oh no.
We're next to a trailer park.
Okay. Fair enough.
West side Costa Mesa. It'll stop after it warms up. Just, we're going to
There's
have
a lot of really interesting sounds on this episode.
No. We're sorry.
Costa Mesa is filled with it. Okay, continue, please.
Yeah, so our first year, I think we learned that the trick is to make sure you're comfortable with who you invite out there and camp with. And there was a lot of kind of loosies that were wild cards that didn't work out, and a lot of them didn't get tickets this year, which I'm grateful for, because
Not a lot. I'd say a small group.
there were
right?
people out there that surprised me that I thought would have been really great, and weren't.
What sorts of things? You don't have to name individuals, but
No, of course not. I would never do that.
But I'm just curious.
I think our biggest thing is the entitlement issue. Did that break?
Yeah.
Well, time to hit the weight room. It screws
I've
back
actually
in.
lost like 30 pounds. All right.
Good for you. You look great. I take it back.
Thank you. It's okay. Continue.
So, I think, like on a personal level, which obviously camp is a lot bigger than me now, just what gets under my skin is something I have to learn to work on is when people have a sense of entitlement. That has always bothered me. I think you should never have an assumption that this is for me, or you need to always be grateful. You need to always, be appreciative. You need to approach certain situations assuming that wasn't built for you. So like last year, we built an art car. Goss and I and another buddy and a lot of friends actually spent hours and hours and hours and thousands of man hours.
That was the biggest change from the previous year.
Having an art car?
Yeah.
The art car
What
was
what kind of car is it?
It's
A Pontiac.
It's a 98 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Okay, so this is worth noting because I can tell you that art car, it's a little 98 Pontiac, and one of the things about Perky Parts that has made such a massive splash in a very short period of time has been this fucking art car.
Yeah.
Because somehow, Jesus Christ, this is like now.
Hey, it's just, hey, that's probably a stab wound. We don't want to record over that.
Good Lord. So that art car has been something that has been noticed like across Playa. This little art car that had like, how many people can fit in there? 6?
It depends on the weight.
Yeah.
7?
10 max right now.
Yeah.
I remember the tree I was with you guys last year when you had it on Playa. Like, it made a splash. People remember it. There's
That
pictures
light
of it.
with it.
Navjeet, who is the music editor of this of Burner podcast and produces Alkaline, he was saying that like when he wanted to find you guys, he'd just stand in the middle of Playa for a while.
So many people said that.
Yeah. And
It
then
works.
I recognized that the priest that camped with you guys, Brian
Baker.
Yeah, Brian Baker, like
Legend.
Yeah, that
Legend.
video of him that went viral of his sermon.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had camped with Perky Parts until he was describing the art car, and I'm like, I know that fucking art car.
Yeah.
It was like green and bright and insane.
I don't think any of us had any idea who we were inviting. 'Cause I remember having the conversation with his daughter.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, is it okay if I camp with you? And I was like, of course. Like, you're one of us. And we met her at Lucidity, or like our first year.
Yeah.
And we hit it off. Chico crew.
Yeah.
Chico crew has a lot of really awesome people in it, and we love them all. And so we were happy to take her in. And I was like, yeah, we'd love to have you. She goes, oh, awesome. My dad and I are going to have so much fun. And I was like, time out. Your dad is camping with us? And then she goes on from like, I'm already blown away. Like, I don't do well around parents. I get like skittish, you know. It's not one of those. I don't like them to see me
in that environment.
In my element.
He's good with parents in other situations, but
yeah,
not,
the petting
not
zoo,
Birdie Man.
feeding zebras or whatever. So I go, time out.
They feed zebras at the petting.
And she goes,
Oh, nasty animal.
yeah. Fuck zebras.
Jinx! They're like the worst animals on the planet. All right.
So I kind of went, time out. What's going on? She says, oh, you're going to love my dad. He's awesome. He's a priest. And she's just like trying to make it sound like it's going to get easier. And I'm like, what in the world are you thinking?
Yeah.
Inviting your dad around. She goes, it's okay. I've already warned him about
Especially
you guys.
a priest.
And I kind of like, initially I was like insulted. Like, you warned your straight-laced dad who's like an upstanding citizen of the world. You've warned him about us?
And not us, by the way. Us, all of us, you guys.
Yeah. Perky Parts.
Yeah.
You're one of us now, so deal with it.
You're one of us, so that's us. Yeah.
So, she kind of said, "Oh, we warned him about you, and everything's okay." And he's a really cool guy. And I just kind of was, all right, I trust you. Yeah. But she had also she had chose us. She knows a lot of people. She wanted her dad to camp with us. The dad could have camped at any number of other places. And then you listen to his sermon, and he talks about the reasons why she wanted him to camp with us is because we're older and we're adult and we have, respectful jobs. And I'm cracking up when I heard, and I didn't know any of this,
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by how awesome the guy was out there. I mean, the guy rocked. He doesn't drink. He doesn't, he doesn't just. He
nothing.
Went harder than all of us, and that's not hard to do. I mean, because we can't pace ourselves.
Yeah.
But he was fresh every morning.
He's got natural endorphins.
Yes, he does.
He was super polite and respectful. He went around and he touched everyone in his
He
in an incredible way.
Everyone who wanted to be. I started crying when he did that to me because it was like, I mean, I'm not a religious person, but it was very like intense moment, and it was like very beautiful, and I was like, wow, this is like so intense right now, and I just, like, tears were just like running down my face, and I was like, this is amazing, and I just like hugged him after, and it was beautiful. That was like a staple in my mind that I will probably never forget. But he he would wake up obviously chipper and we're all kind of like making our way out of our tents, like barely slept. Yeah. And he's like, how's your morning? He's like cutting bagels. Like, anyone want a bagel? And we're like, not yet, But he was such a bright spirit in our group. And now, I can't wait to have him back.
And not only this, he's bringing his wife this year too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
Very excited. I don't know how to do that. We kept trying to figure it out. I was hanging out with my girlfriend's Catholic parents, and they didn't even know if she was a priestess. But she's also in the army.
He's Protestant though. There's a whole different.
Yeah.
You know what? I hope to interview him on Playa. And
I
will. I had by the way, let me interject real quick for any listeners who don't know what we're talking about. If you just Google priests sermon on Burning Man, this will come up.
I think Perky Parts is in the name too.
Is it? I didn't see it in the name.
No, really?
No, maybe it is. Maybe it is now. I figured out who it was because he described the art car.
Oh, really?
And that this was like 45 minutes into his sermon, and that's when I'm like, oh wait, I know those fuckers.
He rode his motorcycle too. He's such a badass.
I called Nav and I'm like, wait, they had a priest camp with them, and you didn't tell me. Like, I wanted to meet that guy, and he's like,
not just any
I
priest.
didn't know that.
An A-team all-star legend to the core priest, and we couldn't.
He's awesome.
No judgment.
We got so lucky with him.
He was legit.
He's really big on LGBT rights.
Yeah.
So he goes around the world trying to preach that and the acceptance of it, which is awesome.
He's like everything we would like, all Christians to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. But yeah, that thing, of course, went like massively viral. So this was like the first year that Perky Parts existed. You guys had that.
You know what? I had actually gotten to Utopia. This is a little off subject, but I had gotten to Utopia first, and we didn't have no one was there yet. I went by myself the first night, and I was just hanging out by myself, and these two girls walked by, and they're kind of like having a good time. They come, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, I'm sitting by myself.
Well, you had the sign out.
Yeah, and so I started talking to him like, yeah, Perky Parts, we're going to have a huge setup. We're going to be throwing parties. And they were like, Perky Parts? They're like, you had that priest, that Burning Man. And so it's kind of a staple that people have heard our name through that sermon.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I would say 100%, like, because we've gone back and forth about changing our name a lot still.
Yeah.
Why?
We feel like we can't pace ourselves would be a little more appropriate for who we are.
Yeah.
And instead, that's kind of our motto now. And
We redline it. We can't pace ourselves.
The reason we kept it is because so many people saw that video of Brian, and they were coming up all Utopia. I saw the video, and we're like, okay. And then that was when we kind of knew that name was stuck.
Yeah.
So now we're excited, and that's
We're
kind of
Perky Parts, but our slogan is we can't pace ourselves. So we're going to stick with that.
So Perky
now.
Parts is stuck, and we're happy with it, and we're happy that is the light that we were able to move on from that, because I showed that video to my girlfriend's parents, who were super Catholic, and until that point they were kind of like, oh, he's dating this dude who goes to Burning Man all the time. You know, I don't know, what's he like? And they saw that art piece with that church on a pole, like the church trap.
the church trap. I love that.
And she saw that and was just like, see, they're this. And then I showed them that video, and they were like, we want to go. And they looked at, because of that video, they look at me in a completely different light now. And it is just, that guy has done more for Perky Parts than anyone of us can even imagine.
Yeah, I would say that's a massive contributing factor to how quickly it exploded. I think the name has been pretty massive. I remember at Utopia specifically, I found myself ending up at Perky Parts often, not just because I knew you guys, because I have a fuck ton of friends at Utopia.
Yeah.
But it just, the energy at where you guys were always felt like no matter what time in the night it was, and I wanted some like happy, chipper energy. And whatever other thing I was on, and right now I needed a little turn up, I could come to Perky Parts and I would be served with that energy.
Yeah.
That's our wheelhouse. That's our favorite event.
That's our favorite festival, so that you probably feel that energy, because we're just so happy to be there.
And just
And
even
I
like
feel
the
like
design
on
and
the
the
playa,
lighting.
we don't have that huge name, but like when it comes to Utopia, like we get to throw those massive parties that we're usually like known, like we're used to throwing, like
we throw
we're used to
parties
having to work the bar constantly and do those things, so it's like we kind of get a little bit of a break because we don't have massive parties at Burning Man.
Well,
but I
we'll
mean,
see about this year.
Yes.
This year's going to be completely different.
That's exactly the transition that I was waiting for too, because
this year's going to be completely different. But it was for me at least. It was nice to be able to have our camp, our core group of friends. We all got to hang out, but we all got to experience and go out and do a lot of things. And then we came to Utopia, and I mean, we all went out and did our thing, but I
left for like an hour total.
We were all at our camp most of the time, throwing our party, and it was.
Well, not
awesome.
to mention there's like a 20-foot tall electronic giraffe that comes over and hangs out all night.
And
Yeah,
I'm
we had,
sucked in completely.
His name is Lindsay, right?
Lindsay, I interviewed Lindsay. I don't remember what episode. It's
Awesome
on Burger
dude.
Podcast. So
Him and
there's
I
background
clicked.
info. Yeah,
like one of the early ones before.
Yeah,
I
he's
came in
really
there
cool.
with nothing. I had a tent up in the boonies, just the non-camp area, which is horrible. So if you ever go to Utopia, make sure you go with the camp, because otherwise you're at the top of a hill. With there's nothing going on up there. But we got really lucky with our placement. However many years ago it was, I think 3 years ago, they put us in that spot, and it's kind of tough because it's not big, so you kind of have to run it with minimal, and it was perfect because we run Utopia with about 10 people.
Yeah.
And I think we had 9 this year, so all that happened with 9 really hardworking people, and that was just an incredible experience, because all
It's
9
a good
of us.
location.
And when we throw those events, all we really want is people to show up and have a good time.
Yeah.
And
Dance.
obviously, when we're doing that, our expectation is, we want the masses, and we're able to achieve that with that location, because kind of no matter where you're going, with the way that the topography is and the layout of the camps, you have to walk by. Whether you're coming or going, you have to walk by. And we set it up to be super friendly and inviting, and we achieve that. And to have this vision of what you want play out in real life is something that was really the first time we ever got to see that. That was at Utopia. So,
I mean, we even had the trouble with next year if we got to set it back, because
it's already taken care of.
We had everyone in the street, and they were like, you guys, you have to bring everyone in. So I was going around kind of saying, guys, push it in, because we were blocking the street too much, that
because it was such a good party.
And I was like, well, this is awesome, but okay, like let's try and move people in. So I mean, we'll have to set it up a little bit differently next year.
Already
but,
taken care of.
Yeah.
Romero was here. Romero's the placer.
Perfect.
And Romero's like, what do you want?
Yeah, Romero with he's the co-lead on city planning, and he is the art director for Burner Podcast, and he's building Cabina Exuro.
Yeah.
Which
What
is
up,
a recording
Romero?
booth. Romero's the shit.
Shut up.
Yeah. Romero like walked into the community immediately. He's like, "Give me all the responsibility."
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was like, "Yes, I would like to hang out with
I
you more."
actually was listening to I listened to the Utopia like recap, and I found it kind of interesting because not that interesting because when I had heard about it, I had heard about it, I heard about it from them, and I had never heard about it before.
Yeah.
But I still found it interesting that they had said that they don't do any kind of like advertising for it.
Utopia?
So that
Oh,
you know, and so that does keep like a core group of people.
And the cap is kept at 3,000.
Yeah.
There's people pushing to keep it to make it bigger.
I thought it was 2,000.
I'm pretty sure it's 3.
Okay.
So I found that like pretty.
But whenever
interesting
people
'cause-
challenge me with new information, I start to doubt myself. So it might be 2. I'm pretty sure it's 3 though. I'm gonna go with 3. So how did the connection with Playground come about? Trav, by the way, is now chugging whiskey and Pepsi. In
We
case
camped
anyone gets started.
they were
Pass that shit over
across
here.
from us.
You want pickle or Pepsi?
Pepsi's good.
They camped across from us last year, so our placement
Just
was
by
there.
coincidence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Playground is what is Playground's background?
Okay, so Playground, I think that was their first year. We don't know a whole lot about their background. We do know that it's Carl Cox camp.
Yeah.
So he brings it. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I talked to Mel, because we're doing a
Our
village.
contact.
We're doing a village this year, and Mel's an awesome Aussie that took the massive role of being our camp mayor, probably without knowing how entailed that would be, but it's taken a lot of stress off.
So for clarification, because Playground and Perky Parts is building a village
Yes.
for 2016, so she's taken on the role of mayor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last
By the
year,
way, she's been mentioned on this show in the past when we had our Burning Man reunion, and Navjeet was telling the story about how she was saying, "Hey, I think you really play great music. You want to go spin after Carl Cox?"
Nav and I were standing side by side when that happened.
Yeah.
And at that time, my controller had taken a shit. Like my buddy had just replaced all the components of it.
Yeah.
And I plugged it in. It worked for like 2 minutes, and then boom, just took another shit. And I was so mad, mostly because my buddy went to so much trouble to let me have that out there, and it just didn't work right. So I was on a mixer and a laptop on my tractor, and just kind of like basically letting songs come in and out, and not doing a whole lot of work. And she comes over, and she had asked Nav and I to close for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't we open for him? Because here it's like, we're going to open for you.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, like, you guys are great. We want you to close for him. And I look at Nav, and I was like, dude, we're stoked. And then I didn't know that was the downward spiral he went into. I just got really fucked up the next day.
Yeah.
I missed it completely.
I'm certain he didn't do it consciously on purpose. It's just that the next day he woke up and he's like, wow, I partied my ass off and I didn't do that thing that would have been really awesome to do.
I did the same thing.
But he said on that show that he's like, no, next time that happens, I'm bringing it. I'm not going to run away from it again.
Well, he's going to be camped right next to it, so what choice does he have?
No running away. Sorry, Knob.
You're doing it.
You're fucking doing it this year.
So the village coming together with
Which I've said,
Playground.
by the way, side note, like, Knob rarely DJs, and I've said, like, he's literally one of my top 3 favorite DJs.
Sure.
Same, and
Yeah.
we met him
Yeah.
last year, and we fell in love.
No,
Even
it's like
Matt,
upsetting that he won't
doesn't
regularly DJ. It's like you're friends with Picasso, and like every once in a while he does a sketch and hands it to you, and he walks away.
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker, I want to do a gallery showing. I want to show people this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately for Nav, we don't really accept that as an answer.
Where did the idea to create a village come from?
So, Matt Goss and I are in Japan, and we are in Osaka,
As many stories start.
and we're checking out. And I remember just getting my last bit of Wi-Fi before we hit the train. And I get a Facebook message from Mel asking if we'd like to become a village and join Playground. And
She had mentioned it prior too.
it was something that we had never given any thought to. It just kind of, the timing was not the best because we're checking out and we had to go 6 hours on a high-speed train back to Tokyo. And I kind of look at Goss and, what do you think? And he just, gave his salty,
About
I don't know, it sounds like a lot of work.
ultimately, when you're pairing up with someone, you're ultimately giving up some freedoms that you would have otherwise if you had your own camp.
Yeah.
The plus side, obviously, with camping with them is, it's It's bigger.
It's goddamn playground. Yeah. What is Mel's connection with Carl Cox? Do we know?
I think they've just been burning together because she's in Australia, he's in UK. A lot of the people I've been talking to that are creating the layout and doing a lot of the build are from Ultra. So I don't know the background. I don't know the connections of how Mel and Carl.
But she runs that camp.
She picked
She
it
didn't
on
last
this
year.
year.
Whoever did it last year
first
quit.
Okay.
And it doesn't sound like it was the best overall experience.
Yeah.
And which is obviously hard to come into an environment like that. And then I just think Mel saw our camp, and because our camp was just
We got
on
along.
everyone except for the one incident with the gun and the bulletproof vest. We can tell that story
what?
later.
No, we're not going to get into this.
Okay.
Oh, we should totally tell this one.
Oh, God. Okay.
If we have time at the end, we'll talk about this one. But
Okay.
for the most part, with that one exception of the gun threat, our camp meshed really well, and it just people would come over and they'd be dragging ass or whatever, and we just had a really good energy to us, I think, and I felt that the entire time. And
there were some anxieties over like the art car and that kind of thing.
the art car was a big pain in our ass because we go to leave and there'd be 15 people on it, and we had to be like, we need 4 people to get off.
There's basically there's 4 slices of pizza, but there's fucking 6 people. You know? And so it's
And art cars are always a pain in the ass. Like every time I see people who bring art cars out to Playa, I feel like they're literally always tinkering with them.
Well, we had a mechanic, a master sound engineer, and we had all.
You had a mechanic
and a master audio engineer, and we had the best crew possible to run that art car the best we could, and so many of the problems were just the people on it. The thing ran great, it looked great. The sound was a trial and error because people kept getting hammered driving it, running over street signs, and our buddy Josh had ran the wiring underneath the car, and both times, it happened twice. Both times someone ran over a street sign, and the sign ripped the wiring out from underneath the car.
When it really ripped out is one of our friends,
Amanda Shy.
Shamanda. I was
Mermanda.
gonna say it rhymes
Miranda,
with,
not so shy.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
She's like, hey, I'm all fucked up. It's like my whatever, like 5th day. I'm just like, yeah, do
No,
whatever you want.
It was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday for sure.
Well, come on, our first night we got in there and we just
Hammered.
We
can't
can't pace ourselves.
Yeah.
felt like I'd been there a month. And everyone's like, hey, can I drive the car? And I'm just like, oh yeah, of course she knows the rules
We
and
were in
regs.
deep playa, there's nothing around, so that's why he was like, okay,
So he just hops in and floors it. But we go from 0 to 60 in, I've been on the specs on the old Grand Prix, but it's not, it's pretty fucking fast.
Yeah.
And there's just this trail littered of speakers, mannequins,
Custom-made
parts,
hand-built
everything.
speakers that
and
took
there's just this dust
weeks to
cloud,
build.
and it's we could easily just get picked up by one of the rangers, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah.
You fucking crazy!" And so a little bit of yelling at Amanda, and then backing up slowly, picking up all our, all the parts. But
this was what
all
night?
the electronics.
This was
Tuesday.
Tuesday day.
And all the
During the
electronics
day.
have been fucking just ripped from the thing because
That explains your overwhelming caution that I remember seeing every time you guys were around the car. Okay, so this coming year, 2016. What's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
happen
we got a little
with the-
sidetracked.
Yes, we did.
So the gym will do that to you.
The gym will do that to you.
Playground's going to be
This
throwing
is-
the night parties.
This is the third episode. I'm gonna say this is the second or third most fucked up I've been on this show.
nice.
I'm not that bad. Especially the guests. The Electric Poncho episode with the miscreants was definitely where we got the most.
Electric Poncho?
Yeah, we got hammered on that one. Okay,
It's a good time.
you got to check that one out. Okay, so playground night parties. So what's the plan?
They're doing the night parties. We're doing
Let's backtrack. So Matt and I are in Japan. Mel asks us, do you want to be a village? Matt goes, grumble, grumble, grumble. And we're on our way out the hotel. And once we leave, we won't have any reception for hours. And I know this is kind of one of those exploding questions. So I hit up Lucas. Lucas kind of goes through his rational thought. And he's into stage production and building and art. And he immediately goes, this is our opportunity. We're going to be dealing with a bunch of people that are on the highest of high. I mean, these guys go to Glastonbury, and these guys travel the world to set up stages. And he's immediately rationalizing, yes, this is what I want. This is what you want, sound production, all these You want to throw big events? This is our chance. And for him, it was like a no-brainer. And obviously, my first concern was overall the health and well-being of the Perky Parts family.
Yeah.
And can we be absorbed by something much larger and well-reversed, and and will we be able to hold together our core of, just like our set, who we are, And I was initially opposed. I didn't think that there was any place for Perky Parts to fit into a machine like that, because we're just so kind of all over the place. And
what is the value they see in Perky Parts?
That's the thing that we have always asked ourselves.
We still don't know.
So, I mean, we've asked people.
We got along with Mel real well.
We got along.
She came over and gave us like an awesome Burning Man necklace at the end, and just gave it to a few of us that we had really clicked, and we partied with her the whole week, and
we got along.
And her and Knob especially hit it off.
Yeah.
And I remember I got up all just depressed and just over Burning Man. I'm like, fuck, get me out of here, cleaning up the art car. It smells like a TJ nightclub, covered in beer cans and God knows what. I'm just throwing it.
Smells like nostalgia.
And then I see Knob running from, just running over from across the way, hanging out with Mel, and a big old smile on his face. Hey, can we take the art car out? It's 9 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, who's coming? It's like, Mel and a bunch of other people from other camp. And so we went out and cruised around and had a really good time.
Yeah. I remember I had just gotten up and you guys had just gotten back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
So
nepotism. So that's the answer.
The value
is what got Perky Parts in the playground.
Yeah, I think they just value
cool people.
I think they understand that we're
true people.
I don't know how well
they got along with us. You guys were playing good music.
Hey, glad to hear you say it on record.
We're gonna record that.
Yeah.
I would venture to say, and I have not met Mel yet, obviously, but my general experience has been that people who are what I call get shit doners are good at smelling other get shit doners. That's what we're attracted to. Little by little, you see somebody who gets a lot of shit done, you're like, something is familiar about this person. I know. And that's been what I've always experienced and observed is the people who have the most success in whatever ventures they take on. They're good at surrounding themselves with the right people rather than looking at, for example, the YouTube numbers. They're like, this person has heart. I don't care if they don't have, the most famous playlist or whatever. I know that they're going to work their asses off and they're going to build the shit and they're not going to give up. Real hard, I think, more than... So I imagine that's what it is that they're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is in there. But I would like to think, as a collective, our group would like to think that they invited us in because they just enjoyed our company.
Yeah. And
then that's... If you can do that out there, I mean, there's nothing... Initially, she said, hey, how would you like to bring your bar into Playground? Mm-hmm. And I was like, our bar. And she hasn't even seen the new bar.
Yeah.
So we have a really awesome new bar. After we had our little blowout with the guy who pulled the gun.
Okay.
And the bulletproof vest, he built the bar, and he took a hatchet to the bar and just absolutely ruined the bar. And while doing so, had taken a hatchet to the face, had to go to the medic tent, had to get however many stitches. We're not going to name names.
Okay. But somebody in your camp took a hatchet to the face.
As he was chopping up his own bar on a Thursday. It was Thursday, and he was just over the whole thing. He sat in his little van, did a bunch of blow and creatine bumps and whatever, push-ups or whatever else you do. And he came off the rails.
Oh, wow.
And he was basically going around just belittling and just tearing down a bunch of the girls in our camp. And he offended one of the people in our camp that just really I was like, that's it. And I went over and he had built the 6-foot little miniature Burning Man where you pull on its arms lift up. Super cool. It had been to Utopia a few times. And I come back to camp, and I had been back to camp in 2 days at this point.
Yeah.
And there was one of the girls was crying. One of the girls I had just been done crying. And one of the girls was just let me tell you everything this guy's done while you've been gone. And she told me the story, and I just lost it. And I went over to the little man, and I snapped his man over my knee. And that was it. And then, so we didn't have a bar anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. And we don't need to get into the details that happened after that, but he had destroyed the bar. And
that was the only bad incident.
That was on a Thursday. So from then on, we got a bunch of pallets, tilted them up, got a flat table, and the bar went on.
Rebuilt that shit, no problem.
Way better bar than it was before.
We makeshifted it, and we were like, this is actually nicer.
We had a juice, we had a margarita maker, a couple blenders running, And it didn't even faze us. And I think that bothered him even more.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
kind of what
he
it's
just
about
kept
anyway.
going.
It's like, hey, let's all plan on something great. And when that doesn't work, let's create something greater on the fly. And that's so much about what that the entire concept is about. How much greater can we be on the fly?
Yeah.
And it was way better. So conveniently enough, like 2 days after we got back from the burn, Matt goes outside. He's got a little shop in Santa Ana, and he turns left, and there's this like pristine stainless steel 10-foot long bar just sitting out that his neighbors were throwing out. And that's the one he saw at Utopia.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I served at that
Yeah.
bar.
They were just throwing that thing out.
Yeah.
So that was someone's way of saying, "Hey, you guys really deserve this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is yours now." And so that's our bar. And
That's rad.
and
That's
we're
good
in
you
love
got
with it. And Chuck from
The guy came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I built this bar.
Yeah.
I know you guys go to all these music festivals." He's never been to Burning Man or a festival. He's like,
Yeah.
I think you might be able to use this, right?
We're like,
That's awesome.
fuck
Hell
yes!
fucking yeah.
Listen, all right, I'm gonna just go ahead and point out the pink elephant in the room as we're wrapping up the show here, because really, listeners, you are not mistaken. The last 20 to 25 minutes of this really did go off the rails, and I want to say that actually feels very true to Perky Parts culture. And hey, okay, now I have a dog on my lap. I'm gonna bite you. Don't put your teeth on me. You know you can do that when a puppy's biting you and they're going through that phase. You should bite them back.
That's not a puppy. That dog's like 8 years old.
I know. Bite your little 8-year-old ass. Little shit.
But we're in
Okay.
Orange County, so it's doing like doggy Botox or something, right?
Yeah, he looks like a much younger dog. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to camping with you guys this year. This year's going to be pretty ridiculous. 2 and D listeners, is that correct?
2 and D.
Yes.
2 and D. I've been remembering it as, if you're trying to remember it, as
Peace
peace
sign.
and dick.
I heard you say that.
Peace and dick is how I've been remembering it. Oh, and Cabina X0, which is our... Seriously, dog, calm down. You're fucking 8 years old. Calm down. Cabina X0, which is the recording booth that the Burner Podcast team has been building, is going to be located at Playground and Perky Parts as well. So if you want to come record your stories, come to D&D. I just kind of randomly filled the end with a commercial.
Perfect.
But,
Shameless plug.
Absolutely, shameless. Trav, Fo, Goss, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. It's been a lot of fun. Let's have more Jim Beam
Yeah,
and
thanks
not
for
record
coming
that
up.
part.
We appreciate
Gotta
it.
go now, guys.
Yeah,
It's gonna
fuck
get
yeah.
ugly.
Uglier. All right, there it is. Perky Parts. You can tweet me directly at Mr. Arash, and when discussing the show, please do use the hashtag Burner Podcast. Shows are up on Libsyn and SoundCloud first and third Wednesdays of the month. SoundCloud has all that awesome sound quality, and you can download it directly from there, but iTunes is where it's official. All these links, of course, are over at burnerpodcast.com. Please do leave us some reviews on iTunes. We really appreciate it. That gets us some more exposure, and it helps share this show with people who might not know that it exists. Our intermission music is by Duckman. Check out his music over at duckmansd.bandcamp.com. And if you're a musician in the community, tweet your music over to our music editor, Navjeet. He is at I am Navjeet on Twitter. The Burner Podcast theme song is America's Horse with No Name remix, produced by Joeman. Check out his stuff over at soundcloud.com/DJ This episode is produced by moi. I actually made the phone calls and I made it happen, so ooh-ha-ha. But the executive producer of the Burner Podcast Network is Meg King. She is on Twitter at @MegKing. Our online editor is Tori. She kind of helps put a lot of the online and social media stuff together. Hope you'll join us next time. We do release new episodes on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. So until next time, love and light and all that other crap. Good night.